Hello everybody, welcome back to it. My name is Jim, this is the Tradesman channel, and if you are new here, we are getting back to work on our sawmill trailer because Sunday I'm going down to this place we're going to be cutting. I'm going to start marking trees. So what we're doing tonight, we're getting our jack brackets, our leveling jack brackets made and built. So these jacks are 5,000 pound capacity jacks. We have 6 of them. I may even add a couple of more over time. So these are weld-ons, and that's it. So these have 10 inches of travel, total height of 24 inches, and we should be good with that. Now if they're not quite tall enough, you put blocks and things like that under them, but we have to get these nipples welded on here so the holes are nice and square to the brackets. Otherwise what's going to happen, the mill's going to be a little tippy. The thing I'm not very happy with on these is there's a lot of slop on those studs for these jacks. Now once you get weight on them, usually that slop starts to go away, but that is definitely something we're going to have to watch as we're milling up in the woods. But before we get to this, we're going to do a little bit of a recap here, first few minutes of the video, to show you what we have done on this thing so far. It's going to be some of the old footage from last fall when we started this, and I have not worked on it all winter. But we'll cut out all the bullshit talking and all that. So anyway, stay tuned. I hope you enjoy it, and I'll catch you on the other side of it. So you guys see what we have here? These are the nipples that come on the weld-ons. They look like they're stainless, but they're magnetic. And we have to get a square line to center around these holes so we can line them up on their jacks. Otherwise, focus. So something like that. So when we go to put our marks down on these plates, or these pieces of channel iron, we can line them up right, nice and square. And we have to do this on every single one of them, because if we don't do that, the holes are going to be off and the jacks won't be square to the ground. Of course, I could do a better job on that. Take our square, need to get a little bit of a finer point in my marker here, probably help. Main idea here is to make sure pretty much main idea here is to make sure that when these jacks are on the camper, jeez, wow, oh, losing my mind. Main idea is to make sure that when everything's set up, we're lined up nice and perfect. I need to make sure that these jacks are actually touching the ground so they're straight up and down, they're perpendicular to the bed of the trailer. If they're canted at all, it's going to be a weak spot and it's going to be no good, and I'll swear and scream and cry and all that good stuff. So let's get this tacked down and we will move along. Go. I just get it tacked because it's going to want to do some goofy stuff to me. Well, it's getting way too dark to see out here, but I have to know if this is going to work. Pretty sure it's going to work, but I got to see it on the mill. It's going to make me crazy until I do. Oh, that worked out well. You know, a couple of clamps, a little planning would have made this right. Almost done. I know, you guys think it's going to go anywhere? So we tried to avoid the odd lighting and all those circumstances. I should have brought a work light out with me when I did this. It's kind of hard to see that trying to start the arc. Cleans off, but there it is. There's one of our trailer jack brackets for our leveling jacks. So I don't think that's going to go anywhere. I think she's good and stout. Well, what we'll do when we turn this over, because we have a lot of welding to do on the underside, we're going to hit all sides of this thing. I want these really stout because you're going to be dropping logs on this thing. It's just going to be a lot of stress on these points. That's why I made them as long as they are. And I didn't do it right to the trailer frame directly because it's a pain in the ass with these jacks to try to slide a pin in there. You kind of have to have them out on their own a little bit. So I'm going to come in a foot in from each end, front and back, and then the wherever the axle lands, that's where we'll decide to go one side or the other, and I may even crisscross them. And like I said, I'll probably end up getting a couple of more jacks just so I can have both sides of the axle supported. To me, that's kind of important, because if you're You can't rely on the leaf springs to sit there and hold the logs up. That's going to allow your mill trailer to sag in the middle. And even though this is pretty good steel, I mean, you're talking 1/4 inch wall, 6-inch channel iron. I mean, it's pretty stout stuff, but chances are it's still going to rack, it's still going to bend. It has to be supported really well. And if you're building any kind of a sawmill base, that's the name of the game for good lumber, is just good, solid, sturdy base. Whether it's a concrete slab, whether you pour footers, which is probably the best way, break the frost barrier, and then do a slab on top of that. Or if you're building a trailer, make sure you have a lot of leveling jacks and make sure they're rated, good weight ratings. Like I said, these are 5,000 pounds a piece, so hopefully we don't max these out, and I really don't think we will. Like I said, the only thing I'm not a big fan of, a little bit of slop on this nipple that came with them, but honestly, once we get weight on it, I really don't think it's going to be a big deal. Now there's a close-up of the welds. You guys like to see those. You can always tell which ones I started on and which ones I ended with. That's just the way she goes. Come on, focus. But, so for those of you who are curious, because that's always a question I get, what kind of rod are you using? I'm using 7014 rod on an old Lincoln buzz box. And the amperage is set at 130. Now it burns into that nipple just a little bit of undercut there, but that's alright, it's not going to hurt anything. Now I gotta have our coffee, and tell you, my son made this bench I'm sitting on here, and you know, he did a really good job. That kid is, I think he's buying every Ryobi tool he can find at the Home Depot and just stocking up. But you know, they're really not as bad as I thought they were. They must be, they're getting better in their quality, but he is having so much fun learning how to build stuff. And of course, he's like me. He's got to do it on his own. He's got to learn the hard way, but yeah, he's doing all right. He's also responsible for the stop sign you see in the corner there. He bought that picking. He likes to pick. He is an old soul kid. So anyway, so sorry for those of you who've been with us a while to see the recap of where we went with the trailer, but I figured it's been so long since we started this one that it's a good reminder to see where we started. We're making some good progress. I've been cutting material. That's a chore all on its own. Fortunately, that power hacksaw is a big help. It's actually a huge help for what we're doing here. All the jack brackets are made. They're all fabricated. We have one welded onto the mill out there. So we're kind of getting pretty close to ready to roll. I've got to cut the axles off the old camper frame that's out behind the barn. And we're going to use those. I believe I mentioned before, those are 3,500 pound axles. I did want to use the tongue off of that, but it's only 1/8 inch wall steel. I think what we're going to do, we're going to make a tongue out of this channel iron, the 6-inch channel iron. It'll be a heavy duty sawmill trailer. Not as heavy as some of I've seen. I saw one guy made his out of 16-inch I-beams. Holy shit. That is some heavy duty stuff right there. Now, David Hood from Hood's Custom Shop, I think that's the name of his channel. I'll find it and correct it if not. But he built a sawmill trailer out of the same material I'm using. I think he used a 5-inch channel, and he did a fantastic job on his. He has a Woodland Mills sawmill. And he did a real good job. You should check him out if you like this stuff. So right now, everybody, people are rushing to buy sawmills left and right. Hudson Sawmills right now, they're like 4 to 6 weeks out on being able to supply new mills. The demand is so high. The price of lumber has just skyrocketed beyond. Here locally, an 8-foot 2x4 is going for $10 a piece. I mentioned that in a video not too long ago. So if any of you are interested in getting a sawmill, you want to learn sawmilling, I'm telling you, now's the time to do it. Especially if you have some property somewhere with some trees, it's definitely the time to do it. Now, I'm not going to sit here and tell you it's an easy thing. It's a lot of hard work. Some of it's brutally hard work. So if you do get yourself one, keep in mind some things that you're going to want to have ready when you go to do it. How are you going to turn the logs? How are you going to load the logs? How are you going to offload the material you're using? And I know it seems kind of common sense, but a lot of times we don't think of that sort of thing when we go to buy something like this. I certainly didn't. When I bought my mill, you know, I didn't get the trailer package. Wish I had, but at the same time, I know what I'm building here is going to be a lot better in the long run for my needs and for just being rigid, period. But, you know, I didn't think of how I was going to turn the logs. I was using a PV and I finally ended up using a tractor. And probably the best thing for me for turning the logs on there was using a chain hoist hanging from the rafters in here. That worked phenomenal. So we're probably going to incorporate some things into this mill trailer to make that easier. Things like a toe kick for jacking up one end of the log so you could take the taper out of it before you mill it. Stuff like that's really important and things you want to think about when you're going to purchase a mill. Can't stress it enough. You know, save your body, because I can tell you now that I aged my body a good 20 years in a matter of seconds falling off of this damn barn. So I can tell you, take care of it while you can. You know, you want to be able to walk in the morning and not look like the Tin Man. And most of us who are working folk, that's usually how we walk. So anyway, enough of the ranting and rambling. Next time out, we've got a lot of good weather coming, so we're going to be hitting this trailer pretty hard. And hopefully within a couple of weeks, I'm really hoping to have it done. I'll get back to the dresser on the rainy days, so you'll see those videos when you know I've had shit weather. So have a good night, everybody, and I'll catch you on the next one.